the next lecture is on the event tree analysis. So an accidental event is defined as the deviation from a normal situation, okay, which means an explosion, gas leak, start of fire, etc., which is deviation from a normal situation that may lead to unwanted consequences, okay, unwanted consequences like a large explosion, like that, okay. An accidental event may lead to different consequences. So an accidental event may result in consequence C1, C2, C3, etc. So we can see in the coming slides. So there are some barriers or safety functions which delay the failure or avoid the total failure or the upcoming failures, okay. Most well-designed systems have one or more barriers that are implemented to stop or reduce the consequences of potential accidental events. For example, we have some sprinkler system in case of fire breakout, which can control the fires or the total loss. So most well-designed systems like large buildings have or new generation buildings have one or more barriers like fire extinguishers to stop or reduce the consequences of the fire breakout, okay. So the probability that an accidental event will lead to unwanted consequences will therefore depend on whether these barriers are functioning or not. So the unwanted consequences like a large fire, which is depending on whether these sprinklers are working or not, okay. So the consequences may also depend on additional events and factors. These additional events and factors are like whether a flammable gas release is ignited or not, okay, whether if some fire is present and some gas leakage is there, then it may result in a total failure or large explosion, okay. So these barriers are also called safety functions or protection layers. So these sprinkler systems are safety functions or protection layers. So what is ETA? So ETA evaluates potential accident outcomes that might result following a system failure. That is initiating event taking into account whether installed safety barriers are functioning or not and additional events and factors. So ETA is basically depending on these barriers like the sprinklers like that, such barriers. So it is basically depending on these barriers and whether these installed barriers or safety barriers are functioning or not, and these additional events and factors are depending on these safety barriers, okay. So the sprinkler is the basic structure or the base of this ETA in the case of a fire breakout. So it is a forward thinking process, okay. So the sprinkler is acting only after the fire breakout, so it is just the forward of the fire breakout. So it is a forward thinking process. The analyst begins with the initiating event. An event tree attempts to enumerate a list of components and systems and determine the result of their operation or non-operation, okay. So that can be seen in the next slide. So here an example is given here. An accidental event, which is an accidental event example is explosion. Some explosion is happened, okay. And the additional events are a start of fire, whether the fire starts or not. So if the fire is not there, then there is no fire, okay. So two options, true or false. If it is a false, start of fire is false, then we have no fire. If it is a true statement, that is there is some fire starts after this initiating event, that is the explosion. So if there is some fire, then we are checking the barriers or safeties. So the sprinkler system does not functioning. We are checking whether it is true or false. If it is false, that means the sprinkler system is functioning. If it is functioning, then we check the fire alarm is not activated, whether it is true or false. So the first we check these two conditions, false to false condition. That means the sprinkler is functioning, okay, sprinkler is functioning and fire alarm is activated. That means controlled fire with the alarm. So some alarm is there and fire can be controlled by sprinkler. Here we are checking this statement. Here the sprinkler is functioning, okay, and there is no fire alarm. So controlled fire with no alarm and controlled fire. So then we are checking these two statements, okay. First one is the sprinkler is not working, okay. Sprinkler is not working and the fire alarm is working. So uncontrolled fire with alarm, some alarm is present and the fire is in uncontrolled manner. Here we have two true statements. That means the sprinkler is not functioning and fire alarm is also not functioning. So uncontrolled fire with no alarm, okay. So it is, these are the outcomes. So from initiating an event then we are going to additional events, then we are checking the variance and checking the outcomes. Okay, this total figure is a basic structure of ETA. Okay, hope you understand. Then the steps in ETA, and identify the accident, whether it's the explosion. Okay, identify the accidental or initial event and any additional events that may give rise to unwanted consequences. Okay, so you can see it in the last slide in the figure. Then identify the barriers like the safety functions or fire sprinklers, etc., that are designed to deal with the accidental event. So here the sprinkler is designed to deal with the fire breakout. Okay, so construct the inventory like in the last slide and describe the resulting accidental sequences and determine the frequency and the probability of occurrence of each accidental sequence. So we have different sequences and we are taking or determining the frequency and probability of these occurrences and compiling and present the result from the analysis. Okay, total compilation, total analysis, we are taking the total analysis, okay, from these results.